Alright, so Dying Light 2, yeah, we haven't talked about it in a pretty long while. It has seen some significant progress in the past few months though. It moves better, it looks better, and in many ways, it has gone back to its more gritty, dark roots that many of us wanted since pretty much the first E3 2019 trailers. It's also due for its first expansion called Blood Ties, dropping around the middle of October, so today I thought it'd be nice to check out all of these nice changes and everything else you might have missed since we last played it. Now, I think I'm speaking for everybody out there when I say that when Dying Light 2 first came out, it wasn't really what most of us expected, at least aesthetically. By all accounts, it was a bit too vibrant and shiny for what's supposed to be a post-civilization zombie apocalypse, and definitely a departure from the first Dying Light game. And while it wasn't completely bad per se, I mean, the graphics are really nice, I'm glad that Techland has finally listened to the fans and added the option to go back to that 2019 look. If you have updated your game with the latest community update that dropped last week, you're going to notice that there's a color grading option in the video sub-menu section, and this pretty much lets you change from the normal, more like vibrant look that the default Dying Light 2 has to a more gritty, slightly washed out, darker version that's more akin to the E3 2019 gameplay and even the first Dying Light game so many years ago. Personally, I really love it. Running some of these shots, this is the most impactful in the areas you've seen, especially on the rooftops and the vegetation, going through a pretty drastic color change from the vibrant green to a very washed out, well, slightly lesser green, I guess. The same goes with some of the really vibrant and colorful building elements that follow a similar route. I think that this looks a million times better and like just more realistic in the sense of like the setting of the game and everything else. And that's not the only change that will immediately impact your gameplay and your immersive experience. There's also a dark mode added for each of these color gradings. With this on, it will change your nighttime from a semi-pleasant walk in like a well-lit up park into a thing of nightmare. And I'm not even kidding, this mode removes most of the artificial lighting around the city areas and will almost completely base environment illumination of actual light sources. So much so, in fact, that now you can literally find pitch black alleyways and street corners where you're unlikely to see almost anything unless you bring up your flashlight. And this is honestly what I would expect from a zombie game, especially since the first hours of the first Dying Light were some of the scariest I've seen. Well, until you got like the zip line, it made it like just too trivial, and you could also completely skip nighttime. Well, you have more incentives in Dying Light 2 to play during nighttime, so making it a little bit more scary and a little bit more immersive. And I mean, who am I kidding? It's way more immersive this way. It just brings the whole experience to the next level. And of course, it doesn't stop there. The open world also kind of feels more lively, no pun intended, and rewarding at the same time because, well, according to the patch notes, there's gonna be a lot more zombie encounters around the map, both during the day but especially during the night. Of course, you're not gonna see like super big hordes of zombies anymore, but you will see a lot more like presence when it comes to the infected spawning around the map. Even more so when it comes to the special infected like the virals, some of the others like the exploding zombies, and even the volatiles are way more present, especially during nighttime, almost to the point that they become a little bit too common. And yeah, they do pose a challenge. They will definitely jump you. You are going to run into them often and you have to be on your toes. Even the basic biters are way more aggressive in the new update, especially at night when they will latch onto you a lot more often than ever before. And if you think it stops there, it actually doesn't. You're not safe during the day either. There's going to be a lot of special events around the map, especially when it comes to like giving you really good rewards like artifacts and maybe even legendaries. There's going to be quite a few of these popping off both during the day but especially during the night. I found that the nighttime is especially filled with a ton of new encounters that provide these really nice legendaries, for example, which are now the best category in the game. And of course, let's not forget about the fact that volatiles even during the day can spawn now in Dark Hollows and Forsaken stores. Overall, this has been a really good update for me. Even performance wise, I am running this on a really good PC, but even so, I noticed that it just behaves a lot better, especially on DirectX 12, which according to the patch notes now uses GPU memory way better. And even when using ray tracing fully enabled, yeah, I am getting some really great FPS that I wasn't getting before. And if you are running with an AMD card, for example, FSR 2.0 has also been added and there is support for it in the game. But of course, there's one final thing that we do have to talk about, and that's going to be the Blood Ties DLC, the first paid one for Dying Light 2, and after several delays, it finally launches on October 13th. This is paid, by the way, so you either need to have bought the deluxe edition, get the expansion pass, or just pre-order or buy the expansion separately once it launches. In this, you embark in a brand new story adventure. You will reach the epicenter of death, wealth, and absolute splendor in a stunning location called the Carnage Hall. I genuinely want to get excited for this, but it seems that the only thing going for this DLC is the arena style content that seems to be the center of it. Also, a lot of human-to-human fighting in a zombie game to me sounds a bit boring. I guess it makes sense given its premise because you have to fight other contenders, but I would personally like maybe more new zombie interactions or challenges, given the fact that this is a zombie apocalypse kind of game. In their defense, there were a few shots with some zombie moments and possible challenges in there, but just for a split second. So I fear that this is going to just be another horde mode against, well, regular enemies, and nothing that will keep you not bored for too long. So this is my biggest fear of the new DLC, that I will just get bored of it way too quickly because it doesn't really add anything substantial. Who knows, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's better than expected, but there are a few things additional to the area itself, like side content, challenges, there's new items in there, new interactions with certain characters, so I kind of like to see some of that. Who knows, maybe it's gonna give us a hint towards what happens after the end of the story in Dying Light 2. The highlight here in terms of items being, of course, the Carnage Manica, which is supposedly the end reward after finishing whatever we do there at the Carnage Hall, which supposedly also has endless potential for creative combat. Not even sure how you're supposed to use this. Your guess is as good as mine, so totally let me know down below. How do you see this being useful in creative combat as per the patch notes? Now, one final thing in the meantime, of course, the DLC will be dropping. I was kind of expecting, or at least hoping, to see some of the other city areas that are currently visible and actually highly detailed when you take a look from afar. We did talk about this a few months ago, and I was actually hoping and expecting that that would be part of the first paid DLC. It doesn't seem to be the case, and it's maybe because of the current events. Maybe Techland did not have time to maybe create something around that, or who knows, maybe this is the plan, and the second DLC, the second paid one, will see these areas being brought back to life, or brought back from the old trailers, because some of these shots were also in the old trailers but didn't make it in the final cut. This is it with the updates. Let me know down below what's your opinion of it. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.